Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Holly Pritchard, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Matthew Jackson. This evening, we warmly welcome the family of Private George James Giles. In July 1918, Private George Giles had just fought in the Battle of Morlancourt when official historian and founder of the Australian War Memorial, Charles Bean, approached him wanting his torn and battered uniform to show what life on the Western Front was really like for ordinary soldiers. Giles' mud-encrusted uniform, along with his helmet, ammunition pouches, and kit, has been painstakingly preserved exactly as it was more than 100 years ago, and is one of the Australian War Memorial's most treasured National Collection items. Today, we are grateful for the family's generous donation of Private Giles' service medals, which will, in due course, be displayed next to his muddy uniform in the First World War galleries. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Furbank Grammar School visiting from Brighton, Victoria. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant Geoffrey Gilbert Edye Manning. Geoffrey Manning was born on the 25th of March 1905 in Sydney, New South Wales, the son of Claude and Elsie Manning. Little is known of his early life, but Geoffrey eventually gained employment as an advertising representative. In 1938, he married Jean Campbell, and the couple settled in Parkdale. Geoffrey Manning enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force during the Second World War on the 8th of July 1940, aged 35. By August, he had been posted to the 3rd Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment, then forming at Werribee. On the 29th of December, the unit embarked for overseas service aboard the Mauretania. At Colombo, they transshipped to HMT Devonshire. Sailing through the Suez Canal, the ship disembarked the man at Haifa in Palestine on the 31st of January 1941. Before embarkation, Manning had been made acting bombardier and within a few months, acting sergeant. The 3rd Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment was initially stationed near Gaza, where on the 5th of February they were visited by Prime Minister Menzies. Sergeant Hugh Hill said that after being made to stand for 2 hours along the road, the boys were wild. 2 days later, Manning was detached to serve with the 5th Anti-Aircraft Battery, Royal Artillery, for the remainder of February. One of the regiment's 3 batteries, the 8th, had previously been sent to Tobruk to aid in the besieged garrison's defence. Now, in early April, as the Allied Expeditionary Force arrived in Greece, the remainder of the 3rd Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment set out for Amariah in Egypt. The 7th Battery, to which Manning belonged, was originally intended to go to Greece. It quickly became clear the campaign there was doomed and the Allied troops would be evacuated. The 7th would therefore go to the island of Crete, and they embarked from Alexandria aboard the Ulster Prince on the 22nd of April. Geoffrey Manning had recently been promoted to sergeant. The battery was initially positioned near the main town of Hania, expecting the Germans would soon try to capture Crete. Some 48,000 Allied troops remained on the island to defend it. Anticipating the enemy would attack by air, the 7th Battery's complement of 16 Bofors anti-aircraft guns would be valuable. At the end of April, headquarters along with the majority of Bravo and Charlie troops were moved east to Heraklion to defend the aerodrome. Alpha Troop was repositioned to defend Malami Airfield, just west of Hania, and Sergeant Manning was with them. Before long, the Luftwaffe attacks began. The bombing and strafing gradually increased over the next few weeks until the morning of the 20th of May, when all hell broke loose. Beginning just before 7 a.m., each anti-aircraft gun was attacked by multiple dive bombers. Then came the gliders, followed by paratroopers. The enemy glider troops immediately sought cover in the dry riverbed. Their mission was vital: to seize the control of the bridge, then capture Malami Airfield. That would allow them to rapidly bring in many more troops. The attackers were from the elite German Airborne Assault Regiment. On the airfield's western end, they stormed the positions held by the New Zealand infantrymen. The Germans were only a few yards away, hurling grenades into the main trench near the Bofors gun. The Australian anti-aircraft gunners, including Manning, joined their fellow Anzacs and fought it out, but they were soon overwhelmed. Their position was taken and all but one was killed. Among the dead was Geoffrey Manning. With the airfield captured, Crete was lost. The 7th Battery had suffered heavily. Only 71 men got away. Nearly 200 had become casualties, 50 dead, the rest in hiding on Crete or taken prisoner. Geoffrey Manning's body was not recovered from the battlefield, so he is commemorated on the memorial at Phaleron War Cemetery in Athens. He was 36 years old. His photograph is displayed today at the base of the Pool of Reflection. Manning's name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant Geoffrey Gilbert Edye Manning, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff, and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.